Where it's an educational show about smartphones and tablets with the Geeks on Tour.
Hello?
That's us. We do invite you to become a member. I'm Jim.
And I'm Chris.
You are. It's true. And here we are. And together we are the Geeks on Tour. Do you think your smartphone is smarter than you? And do you have questions about your Android or your iPad tablet? And how do you learn about these amazing devices?
Well, we are geeks who teach, and we think the best way to learn is a little bit at a time on a regular basis. So we came up with this weekly show. Our website, geeksontour.com, has all of our tutorial videos on the topics we teach.
I've got a great line.
Cool.
Woodtrekking.com.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay.
And
What's going on here? We're having problems. So, Chris, where are we now?
well, we're in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That's our RV is parked at Paradise Island RV Park, right by the pool.
You will get
And this
them.
is home, but we actually are
Right
in
there.
a townhouse right now. That's where we've set up our studio for today.
Okay, that's a good place for us to be, too.
Well, I don't know what.
Okay. We have a great show for you this week, I hope. And starting with a quick tip, Chris will have a quick tip about searching for apps on your phone. It's something that really everyone needs to know about. And the rest of our show will be devoted to a conversation with our special guest and friend, Mike Wendland. Mike is a tech guy from way back, and we now know him as an RVer. We have lots to talk about with him, and we're sure that you'll learn a lot in the process. If you have questions, ask them in the comments there, either here on our event page or on the YouTube page, wherever you happen to be watching, and we'll try to get them in during the live show. The show is recorded on YouTube, and you can watch that at any time, just the YouTube Geeks on Tour channel.
Okay, and we will introduce Mike in just a minute, but we still wanted to start with one of our quick tips. And the quick tip that I want to show you is searching on phones, searching for apps. So first on the iPhone, let's say that you have an app on here called Runkeeper, and you can't find it. Well, what you do is called a spotlight search. You just touch the screen in the middle somewhere and drag down. That opens up a place to search, and you start typing the name of the app you're looking for. And there it is. Searching on phones. Searching for apps. So first on the iPhone.
Yeah, that's coming through Mike's.
Yeah. All right. And then on the Android doesn't have a built-in nice little spotlight search like the iPhone, but if you have the Google search widget or just the Google search, it does the same thing. I tap there and type Runkeeper, or just type Run, and there is the app Runkeeper. I use that all the time. I can never find where I put an app. I get so creative with my folders and all that stuff. And now if you've been watching our show for a long time, you've already seen that. In episode 4, we talked about search, and in episode 31, we taught how to do widgets. All right, so that's my quick tip.
Well, thanks, Chris. That was really good. I use that search all the time. It is just so very helpful.
Okay. Mike.
We have a special guest today.
We do, and he is amazing. I don't believe that somebody has been a technology journalist since 1994 with NBC News. That is just so impressive. He has 2 websites, and one of them is PCMike.com. That's where he talks about technology. but we know him as an RVer too, and his website there is roadtrekking.com. And there's also a Facebook page with 289,000 likes.
Wow, that's something, Mike.
Tell us how you do all this, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, hi, guys. I'm in Arizona, in the Sonoran Desert. See there? Where is it? There it is. The cactus over my shoulder. A coyote went by a little while ago. So nice here. It's nice here.
And we spent a lot of time there this winter. I think that was a better time to be there.
You know, it's
so.
only going to be 82 here today, and it'll eventually, by the end of the week, they say pushing 100, and I'll be moved on by then. But we've been blessed with really great weather the last couple of days. So
It looks pretty.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The cactus are budded out. There's flowers, and it's great. So we're just chilling out here. There's nobody out here. All the tourists, all you easy weather snowbirders have gone back, and there's just a couple of hard scrabble people. And I mean, I can't see another rig around us, and then the desert behind us. So
now that is kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell a little bit about your background. How have you been reviewing technology since 1994?
Well, my background is media. I worked in television, and newspapers, wrote books, and most of my journalism career I was an investigative reporter. And back in the early 90s, the biggest trend that was happening with investigative reporters was called CAR, or computer-assisted reporting, where we would get large databases and then analyze that for trends. Kind of a simple way to describe it is you'd get the database for all the school bus drivers in your state, and then you'd get a database for all those with criminal records, and then you'd mix and match and combine these two databases, and you'd find 41% of everybody who drives a school bus has had an arrest record. But that kind of reporting takes a lot of time, and so I was always under pressure. Well, it takes so much time. What do you got for us today? And about the 94, the World Wide Web became widely acceptable thanks to Netscape. That was the big pioneer. Remember that?
Yes.
Wow. And you suddenly had a browser that could access this stuff. And so I said, there's this new thing called the World Wide Web, and I can do a story every week about some neat thing you can find on it. And so I started that in 94, and I started it out, I think we called it at that time net surfing or something silly. But NBC saw that and picked it up back in 94, and I have continued to do that now every week ever since. And we've since changed the name to PC Mike. I don't know why we called it PC Mike years ago, but because I use all Macs. Will never use a PC in my life. And,
well, PC just stands for personal computer.
Right. That's what I tell everybody. They don't believe me, but yep, that's exactly what it stands for. So that's how it all started, and then about 3 years ago, I went out on our own, and I just wanted to go travel and see the country that I just usually flew over in an airplane. I was everywhere. I mean, constantly on the move, but I never was in one place long enough. I would see beautiful mountains and desert, and I'd say, boy, I'd like to spend some time there, but I always had to finish the story and get on a plane and go somewhere else. And so as I reached retirement, I said, well, let's just get a little RV. And we got a camper van, a road trek, and we bought a used one and had a ball with it. But I'm a storyteller, so I started writing about the places we were going and the lifestyle, and then that took off, and it took off, and now I have a blog that gets about 350,000 readers a month. I have 7 reporters who write with me on this blog. I have a podcast that gets about 100,000 downloads a month, and it's become a full-time job, but it's one, they say that if you do what you like, it's not a job. And we're just having a ball traveling, and my wife Jennifer and my dog Ty, he's sleeping over there behind that chair. It's a little warm out here in the desert.
Yeah.
So that's how it all started, and it just has turned. I continue. I do my NBC stuff from the road. I do my blog updates and social media. And I think that the thing that has contributed to the success of this is that people are desperate for good news. And if you read the media, and I was a part of it, all it is bad news. And it sounds like everybody's having terrible times and that everybody hates everybody, and it's so polarized. And that isn't the case at all. All you have to do is go out in an RV and travel the world, and you can find, there are most people are great people. And most places are away from our big cities are great places. And there aren't the problems that our mainstream media would have us believe. And so I think people are just desperate to read good stories about interesting people and interesting places.
And I'm sure you know how lucky you are that you have a wife that enjoys it also.
Absolutely.
I'm going to flip it around, and you can say hi to Jennifer. There's Jennifer.
Hi there. I'm just sitting here doing some paperwork. I know I should be doing techie stuff, but
yeah, she's doing paperwork because of the other story I'm sure we'll talk about, because that's all we've been doing is paperwork in the last few days.
Okay.
Yeah. So I agree completely that the RVing shows you all sorts of wonderful things, but every once in a while something bad happens. And you just had that experience. But there's lessons to be learned. So tell us what happens, Mike.
Well, this is the only really negative thing that has ever happened to us in almost 100,000 miles of travel over the last 3 years. And, people have been so supportive and encouraging. And I know by us telling this story, it sort of puts a negative spin on what is essentially an incredibly positive experience. This is only one little thing, but it's a thing that we can learn. And it happened to us Monday night. We were on our way west. We're down here near Tucson now, and eventually we're making our way up to Montana, and lots of stops in between. But we were one day out on our trip following Route 66. I'd had a great day in Illinois with my camera, getting all the pictures and the video, and ready to start a Route 66 story. And it was about dinner time, and we were almost out of Illinois, and we said, well, let's get dinner, but let's not go into St. Louis. St. Louis has had a lot of problems with crime, and so we said, well, let's stay on the outskirts. And we found a little place called Collinsville, right across the Mississippi from St. Louis. Found a nice shopping center right off I-55, upscale shopping center, lots of well-known restaurants, parked right out in the middle, full view of lots of traffic, and went in to have dinner. And about 6:30 we went in and came out about 5:10 after 7, and someone had gotten inside of our RV. Our dog Ty was in there, and in about 7 minutes they took everything. They took all of our computers, all of my video equipment, all of my cameras. They took some personal stuff that we had in like a tote bag for Jennifer. And the good thing is they didn't do anything with Ty. Ty, our dog, was in there, and we were very upset about that. But they got everything, and that was the challenge. Is how did they get in? Because we have a system that we lock a. You hear me okay?
You seem to be getting a lot of wind noise.
Wind just kicked up and went.
Oh,
so,
okay.
dying down. Yeah, the wind came up and the awning is flapping. I'm not sure where the mics are. Maybe if I turn it a little better. Is that any better?
That sounds a little bit better. Yeah.
Okay. So I think my picture's crooked. I'll just kind of go like so. So we don't know how they got in. That's the challenge. We have a system when we leave. We always hit the fob and lock the doors. And we both remember in this case, as we were leaving the restaurant, Jennifer said, did you lock the doors? And I came back to the passenger side door and I hit that fob and I saw those latches go down. And yet they got in. Somehow they got in.
And without breaking anything.
Nothing was broken at all. They got in.
I think it's been suggested by some that Ty let them in. Is that a possibility?
Well, when the police arrived, they were a canine unit, and the one officer looked at Ty and he said, "You did not do your job, dog." Yeah. Hey, Jennifer's got a comment. She said,
That
"Yeah."
was so funny because they were both the nicest officers that you could ever find, and they bent down on Ty's level. They looked at Ty and said, "You didn't do your job." And Ty just wiggled his tail and looked at this guy. It was pretty funny.
So yeah, so Ty was in there, and fortunately they did not hurt him. And later on, I learned because we were able to actually listen to what they did while they were inside there. I had audio of it, and you could hear them actually talking nicely to the dog.
Yeah, I thought that was really sweet. That was your main takeaway from your dash cam, is that you could hear that the burglars were being nice to your dog.
Yeah, yep. So
well, really, I mean, all of you can still smile about this. You know, nobody was hurt. It's just stuff.
So
but you did learn some lessons.
That was that's the first. So we kind of went over in our podcast some of the things we learned, and they all boil down to just one thing, and that is that stuff is just stuff. Stuff is stuff. You can't get all bent out of shape. You can get angry about it, sure, but stuff can be replaced. Costly, but it can be replaced. In our case, we think everything right. We parked in the right spot. It was the luck of the draw. It turned out another vehicle not far from us was also hit, and it was a U-Haul, and they stole stuff from there. So they got some. Here comes another comment from the.
Well, the U-Haul that was broken into. They were from Chicago, and we're from Detroit, so we were laughing about that.
Yeah.
Out of town folks.
Yeah, Chicago and Detroit. But
so, one thing that I'm interested in hearing a little bit more about, most of the stuff taken, or a lot of technology equipment was taken, computer, laptop, and iPad, and you said that you spent almost all night then changing passwords. We get a lot of questions about passwords, and you recommend LastPass?
Yep.
Tell us what the process was then.
Yeah, I did a double. There's a lot of things you can do, and some of the things, that's another reason I like Mac, that Mac makes very easy. I use LastPass, and there are a number of password manager apps out there for everybody, no matter what platform you're on. But I use LastPass, and it keeps track in the cloud securely of all my passwords. So the first thing I did is I had no computer, so I had to go and get a new computer, and we found a local Best Buy, and made the sale. I bought one for me and bought one for Jennifer. And then right in their parking lot, the first thing I did is went to LastPass and changed my master password for it. So that means that that nobody's going to be able to log in and get any of my stuff. But then I went through on a second basis and changed every password I had for my online banking, my credit cards, my email, my web stuff. Every significant password that I had, I changed. And that took pretty much all night long. I'm too old for an all-nighter, but.
Now, did you do that through LastPass, or did you go to each website and change your password?
I first changed LastPass, that means now that my computer, if somebody booted it up online, would not be able to have my passwords automatically entered for them, nor could they get into LastPass. So that was the first thing, and that was probably enough. But then I just wanted to be double sure, so I went to Amazon and my banks and the credit cards, and I changed those passwords. So later on, I had to re-enter all those passwords for LastPass, but that was the first thing. And then the other thing is with a Mac, and I know you guys have talked about this, that Mac has a great service called Find My Mac. And it works with your iPhone or any kind of iOS device. And I was able to go on, and first thing I did is look for Jennifer's computer or my computer or the iPad, because if they had access to the internet, I would be able to locate them. They had not. So in that case, I wiped them all clean. You can actually leave a remote command and wipe the complete hard drive. And I also had a message pop up that said, "You're thieves and we know where you live." So that was the second thing.
Lost mode or something like that?
Yeah, you can do a couple things. You can just find it if you misplaced it. You can have it sound an alarm. and then you, in worst case scenario, when it's obviously stolen, you can have it wiped clean. And so I did that. But
in order to do that, it has to be on or connected to the internet. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably what they would do immediately. But you don't know. I from my experience in other stories, normally when they get a computer, they wipe it, and then they can resell it.
Right.
So it doesn't appear to be somebody else's, so they will wipe it. But I wanted to be sure. And you know, when you stop to think about all of the personal information that is on your computer, it can keep you up all night. It really can.
Yeah.
So LastPass was one, and since then I found an even better program that I signed up for.
Yeah, let's stay on Find My iPhone for a second. I just want to point out to people that we did do one of our whole shows, and it's recorded on YouTube, on how to use Find My iPhone, and it is, yeah, here I am on our page called geeksontour.com weekly show, and this is a listing of all the shows. If your device is lost or stolen, we did that episode in number 12, episode number 12. It's Find My iPhone on the Apple, and there is a Find My Android on the Android platform that all of it does about the same thing, but if you want to see it in action and learn about it, you can watch our episode 12. And then, yes, so the next thing that you said was Orbicule?
Yeah, this is a really cool. One of my readers sent me a suggestion after reading about this, and this is, again, it's only for Mac, but it's just a really great service. It's called Orbicule, and it works much more powerfully than Find My Mac or Find My iPhone. You register your device, and then it not only will locate it, but it will take a picture of whoever is operating that computer. Every 8 minutes it will take a picture from it. It will send you that at whatever address you want. It can also key capture any information they get. It records the IP address, which was the location that it was used from. And then again, you can do the same thing. You can wipe the data, but it continues to send you those pictures as soon as that is online. And that's a pretty good service. You see me wiping my eyes, by the way. I put some suntan lotion on, and the sun is now causing it to drip down into my eyes. So, Orbicule I bought a family pack for both Jennifer and I. It's like $59 a year, and I feel very secure with that. And I protected both of our new computers with Orbicule. So Find My Mac and Orbicule are just two great services to have. And
we will put all these links on the comments.
Or in the show notes too.
Yeah, in the show notes and the comments. I read up on Orbicule a little bit, and yeah, that was pretty awesome. There was a story about how it allowed the police not only to find one person's missing computer, but they just recovered a whole lot of stolen items, computers and other things.
Yeah,
so that's a powerful one.
It's a great service. And then the other thing that I really have appreciated with this is my the camera that I have, the dash cam, the windshield witness dash cam. It not only records in high def, but it records audio. And I happen to have usually I leave the audio off because you don't want it recording whatever you're saying in your vehicle, but I had left it on. I turned it on that day for some reason. And as I left it on, the camera is facing out and it's motion activated. Sure enough, as I went back and reviewed the tape, the stuff that was recorded on the little SD card, there was the guy who we are convinced is one of the suspects who broke in. He walks back and forth, he's looking in, he actually peers into the window. And I think the sun was hitting the windshield in such a way he couldn't see the camera because he's kind of like looking like that. And the camera's got a full view of him. So I gave that picture to the police. He walks out of frame around to the driver's side, and that's where you lose sight. And right there on the tape, I can then hear the door latch or a click, the door opens, and in the guy, and there was another guy that came in, and I hear them talking to our dog, and then we hear them ransacking our stuff. A lot of it is unintelligible. One of them is, hey, look, another Mac. you know, so they found, so that helped, and I am delighted to have had that. Now I have another camera in there that we put in to operate for Ty, and it you know, because you have your air conditioner on, your pet's in there, and if you're away from it, you want to make sure the air is on. So I have it's a Belkin net cam, and I have that facing rearward, and you can see the whole inside of our coach, and that was on. Oh, actually, it wasn't on, but the camera was facing back. So when the guy came in, the first thing he did is he pushed the camera so it was facing the roof, and then he ripped out the power cord. That's how we actually knew that somebody had broken in, because as we came in to open Jennifer's door, there was this power cord lying there. And what is up with that? So he knew that was the camera, but they didn't touch the dash cam, which was continuing to record the audio of them. There's a big red light where it plugs in and gets power, and they never touched that. But they took everything else.
We have up on the screen now the roadtrekking.com windshield witness. So that is where you talk about the camera and have a picture of it here. Yeah, lots of people are getting dash cams now.
Ty came by to say hi. There he
Oh, hi,
he's getting a bum rap, you know. The windshield witness thing, or any kind of a dash cam, we find it's really fun for doing videos as we travel, because you get great shots out the window. But I'm hearing more and more people who have a security use for it as well. So
yeah,
it's pretty good. I'm going to move out of the sun, so I'll just
okay.
You go right ahead. I think it's a good idea. The Arizona sun can be brutal out there.
Yeah, there we go. Let's see here.
Well, so we're just so happy to know that everybody's okay, and we see you smiling, and you are continuing on your Route 66.
Yeah, you know, and I just again want to say this is the first negative thing that's happened to us. Most of the time, everything has been wonderful. The people we've met. Here, Jennifer has. I could tell she's got words.
I just wanted to say, after 3 years of doing this, 3 years plus, I think we were getting a little lax, a little comfortable too.
Yeah.
You know, we weren't quite as sharp as we should have been. We weren't quite paranoid, you know. We've been very fortunate.
Yeah.
Well, I also learned from listening to you, Jennifer, to come up with a secret spot. I won't ask you where yours is.
Oh, it's right up. Oh, wait.
Stashing things.
Yeah, you know, like my bag with things that I wanted, I shouldn't have left it on the floor, because the thieves used it as a bag to carry things away in. Nobody would want my paper things, but they had a few things that I wanted. So, and normally when we first started out, I was paranoid about everything. I used to hide every time we walked out. I hid everything, but I've just gotten comfortable, because most of this country, it's so safe, and where we were. It should have been safe. Yep,
and it should have been, but...
it was a smash and grab.
Yeah, it was a classic smash and grab, absolutely. So I think, I just don't want people to think that they need to go out and be afraid and worry, because, as you know, you guys travel and have done this for so many years. It's very safe out there.
Yes, that's been our experience, although every once in a while you hear about something bad that happens, and it's just unfortunate.
Yep.
I think it's so cool that you guys are doing Route 66 now. And I'd like you to talk a little bit about, on your website, there's a map. Track My Tour?
Yeah. We just pulled off Route 66 just as we hit Albuquerque, because we're now down in Tucson off the list. But we have been using this from time to time when we travel, and it works on all platforms, so whether you're Android or iOS or Windows or Mac, it actually allows you to take a photo and enter a waypoint along your way. And so it's not following you in real time. We used to do that, and when people start knocking on your door at 11 o'clock, say, hey, I see you're in the neighborhood. We decided But this Track My Tour is a lot of fun, because you take a picture of wherever you are, and we've done that all along on Route 66. and then people can call it up. You see a map of where you were, and it shows your picture and whatever comments you want to make. And we'll continue to do that as we travel throughout the Southwest and make our way north. But it's kind of fun to have that video service, that little picture souvenir of where you've been.
And I never did mind the people that we met. They were such nice people. They became dear friends, several of them.
Yeah, they were. We never had any bad.
No.
You don't know what.
You just always have work to do. I think you've always got something that you think you need to get done, and then you never know.
Yep. And then you don't want people to think you're mad at you because you stop and I gotta work, and they've got all the time in the world, and I keep.
So you can add those pictures by using the phone?
Well, yeah, all those pictures were from the Apple iPhone that are on our blog post about Route 66. They would have been on my good camera, but we were not going to stop the tour, so we said, well, we'll use what we have. And I was really surprised at the quality of those photos. They really look good.
I mean, we teach people how to make maps like this using Google My Maps,
Yep.
But to do the pictures, you have to use a computer. You can see the map and add points on the map on the phone, but you need a computer to really make the complete map. So
yeah, that's what I like about that app, is that it all works on your iPhone or your Android, and you can either take pictures that you've already taken from your library, or you can shoot a new picture live, and it's all done, and you don't have to come back and mess with it when you get in camp or when you're at your computer. So it works very good.
now it looks like it just draws a line between the points. It's not actually.
Yep, it draws a line, and then you click on the little icon there, and it brings up the picture, the location, and whatever you wrote to describe it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we're showing that. Okay. So then this looks like a fun one.
Yep.
And is it free?
It is, I think. Boy, I think it's $2.99. I don't know. I think it costs $2, $3. Whatever it is.
For the iPhone. For the iOS, I think it's $3.
Yep.
There might be a free one.
We looked for it. I could not find it on Android. There was something called Track My Tour, but it didn't look like the same thing.
Yeah, I thought it worked with Android as well. It might be, I used to, and I have to do it with NBC. I have to write about every platform, but I don't use. I strictly iOS now, and that's.
Yeah.
And someone has asked us already in the comments, how about the Windows platform? And we don't have a Windows phone yet, and I think that was asked around when we were doing the search, but I'm not sure. I know there's Cortana on the Windows platform, and I know that's a search, but I don't know if it'll search your entire phone for anything.
Yeah, I get on the PC Mike's ad. I get those kind of questions all the time, and what happens is that I say to them, why would you get something that has so few users that there's no incentive for a developer to develop apps for them?
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because it really is they use good phones to do it, and the reason behind the Windows platform or the Windows 8 and 10 is to make it work the same over all these platforms, regardless if you have a phone or a computer or a tablet. And it's really kind of a shame, but iOS and Android are the two that are most popular.
What I think might be true, I know it's true on the computer, that right on your home screen of Windows, in the upper right-hand corner, you might see a little magnifying glass.
So there's a search.
That search.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but iOS is the big gorilla for all of them, and then of course Android. Developers all the good apps they're only going to develop for places they can sell the most, and those are Android or iOS. And as you're right, the new Windows phone is the best phone that they've ever come up with. I think they've done a great job. It's a classic example, though, of being too late to the marketplace. I think you just cannot have a dent in that iOS operating system or even in Android now. So those are the.
In my opinion, don't write Microsoft off. I'm holding on to my stock.
Don't sell the stock.
But
Yeah.
when we teach our smartphone classes, we'll sometimes have audiences of a couple hundred people, and we ask for a raise of hands. How many have Apple? How many have Android? And it's sometimes a little bit more Apple, sometimes a little bit more Android. But when we ask how many Windows, there's just one or two.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why we teach that.
Yep.
Okay, I have one more question to see about in your travels on Route 66, how do you find places that you want to stop?
That's a great question, and it's kind of there's a twofold answer to it. For Route 66, we actually bought 2 books. There are some great guidebooks, and I have a link on the blog post I did. I can't recall the names of them right now. I could go get them and show them to you here, but they're inside. But they're really great guidebooks that list city by city, almost turn by turn. Because following Route 66 is a challenge. There are several different routes. There's a modern route. There's a historical route. Some of the cities are restoring parts of it. And so you don't know where to turn, whether you should take the classic one. Well, Jennifer heard me, and she picked up these books. So and I have links on them on our blog post. This is the one we used. It's called the Adventure Handbook to Route 66, and it really does a great job. There's another one called the Easy Route 66 Guide, and both of those have been really helpful. But the way we normally find stories is we started following that because we'd find a city that, okay, we're going to look at this city, they got this and this. But about right after the second or third city, we realized we're just going to trust whatever we find interesting. And that's how we do all of our blog posts. We stop where we feel like it. Often we have a destination in mind and we never get anywhere near it because we found all these other things. Route 66 is a little easier to follow because there are certain attractions that you want to catch. But I'd suggest those guidebooks. And also, we always have a MiFi connection as we're driving in the car. So Jennifer will often Google up the name of the city, the next city we're going to visit, and we'll find stuff there as well. But Route 6, it was really a fun trip, just great. And what was the most surprising to us was there were no Americans. We found one other group of travelers that were Americans. Everyone else, the vast majority, were Europeans.
Huh.
Oh, that's not interesting.
Well, that reminds me, I mean, our favorite stop on Route 66 was a place called Baghdad Cafe. And it's still ahead of you, so I recommend that you stop at Baghdad Cafe. There is a movie by the same name. There was a TV show for a while, but the movie is what was really good. And it apparently was a cult following in Europe. So everybody in that cafe was European.
Yeah.
And that's one of our favorite things to do as we travel is go to places where movies were made. And the app called Road Trippers,
Oh yeah, I've used that. Yep.
has a specific category for places where movies were filmed.
You know, I forgot when we talked about apps to mention roadtrippers.com. That is a fun app. I've done NBC piece on that, and I forgot to mention that. You know, the Europeans were interesting. We found one group of 29 motorcyclists, all from Norway. There was a couple guys from Bahrain or from Dubai there. They had all rented motorcycles from a company in Chicago that specializes that brand new Harleys, and they were on their way out. They're still on the route, but all Europeans. And then we asked a lot of them why here, and they said because there's no such road like that in Europe that you can drive around any country in a day, and they've just heard so much about American automobiles, and they just love to travel, and the whole iconic American road trip is tied up there.
Yeah, they love it. We've met a lot of them along the way.
Yeah.
So you've decided not to get an Apple Watch for now.
I'm still kicking myself, but yeah. I left. I had to leave for this trip, and it still had not arrived. And so we have our, the only thing you get in snail mail is junk mail anyway, but we have our snail mail held for us. and I just didn't want it sitting there at a post office or at FedEx. I had really no place I could forward it that were going to be at any length of time, so I canceled it. I couldn't get it in time, and I'm sure it would have arrived, but just as well. I have enough tech to handle now, so just resetting everything up until I get all my gear back.
But you said you are in talk about new toys. You said you're in Tucson to get a satellite internet dish.
Yeah, the technology, internet's very slow, and you guys have had it, I know, before. It's on a good day, it's entry-level DSL, which is very slow. But for me, updating the blog all the time and with photos, that's fine. I can't do video with it, but there are very few places where, in a day or so, I can't get upload speeds. But I do have to upload. I need internet all the time. And so I'm picking that up on Monday, actually. I'll be picking it up and heading out. But the technology is a little bit better, It's now Starband instead of Hughes. And it's if I'm lucky, it'll be entry-level DSL speeds.
Right. And, it certainly works in places where there is no cellular connection or, certainly not a Wi-Fi hotspot to be able to connect to. You can always find something as you're traveling down the road, but when you're stopped and you want to stay in one place, satellite is the only thing that can get you internet reliably wherever you happen to be.
Yeah, it's tough. It's very expensive, but most of our camping is kind of like where we are here now, all by ourselves, boondocking. I have great cell service here. That's what we're talking over now, but many times up in Yellowstone or in Glacier or one of those big national parks, there is no coverage. And so this allows me to stay there and still keep the blog updated.
Yeah, Verizon is amazing. But I got to say, I loved having our satellite dish. There were places that there was no internet. Without the satellite dish, we couldn't stay there.
That's right.
With the satellite dish, we could.
Yeah, and that was for us. I don't think it is for everybody. I know I've had a lot of people. I said that's what we're doing. They all, gosh, maybe we should get it. And actually, I can count on, maybe one hand in the last year, places that my Verizon network didn't connect. So for most people, you just don't need it. I do have a cell phone booster, which does a really nice job, but some of the places we're going, it's necessary for me. How I'm going to put it in this little road trek, I don't know, but it's good.
I'm wondering that. You got to tie it to the roof.
Yeah, I think it'll have to go on the roof. I don't think you have room.
I have the XL version of the Sprinter, so it's got a little extra length to it, and it should be okay in there. But I'll ask me Monday.
Yeah.
Bill Harbeck asks, if you have the burglars' voice patterns, does that help the police?
I don't want to disparage the police, but these guys live right across from East St. Louis and from Ferguson, and burglary is probably the last thing that they're going to be able to spend the amount of time that they would like to catch these guys. They said that the photograph I sent was really good, but there is not going to be any massive investigation on this as much as I'd like it. They said they handed the picture to their detective bureau, and if anybody recognizes the guy as a person of interest, they'll go. But they're not going to listen to the voice. I offered the pictures and the video, and they were just delighted with the still. And that's the reality of life around a big city. Police officers there were these gangs from East St. Louis just keep coming across and ripping out cars and people. So not much we can do.
And Leslie Flanders wants to know, what campground are you staying in Arizona?
I am at what is the name of it? Arizona Trails RV Resort. It's I guess totally jammed up in the season by seasonal, but there's probably 10 people here. It's 200 sites, and I cannot see anyone around me. So
That's amazing.
RV Trails, I think, or Arizona Trails. No, I'm sorry. Desert Trails. Desert Trails RV Resort, and I can't speak highly about that. It's a great spot.
Okay, here's another Just a comment. Thanks for introducing me to Mike Wendland. You just created a new Mike Wendland fan.
Right?
That's
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
Now
great.
here's somebody that says he uses a gun, carries
Well,
a gun. I always try to park my rig where I can see it from the restaurant. That way I can put some holes in whoever's trying to break in.
Oh.
You
I
know,
don't know.
you know, let me just say something about that because I get a lot of people with it. And I have a CCW permit. But the first thing they tell you when you have gun training is you don't talk like that. You just don't talk like that. That's the stupidest thing you can say because in the event you really, God forbid, have to use it, the bad guys and the police can use that kind of a comment to show that you were reckless in the use of that firearm because you had a desire to do that. So if you have a firearm, and many RVers do, don't talk about it. That's the dumbest thing you can do. Just listen to what your training, if you, assuming you have, if you're going to have one, you better have training. And if you had training, they'll tell you that. Don't talk about it. So
Okay.
that kind of a comment is, would I shoot somebody that stole my stuff? No, I would not. I would not shoot anybody at all, unless I was in danger or my wife was in danger. So anyway, be careful about those kind of comments. Those of you who carry weapons.
I tend to agree. Jerry Cornelius, the Verizon salesman, suggested that they purchase on the Windows platform. Thinks since we were whiteheads, he didn't push iOS or Android. Went back to the shop after we brought the Windows phone, suggested that he present the benefits of all platforms. They would have purchased the iOS, the iPhone. My bad for not doing my own research prior to moving.
But what I find interesting in that, he seems to be saying that the salespeople tout the Windows as the easiest one. And I've heard that before. So that's an interesting thought. It's easy, but nobody can help you because nobody else has one.
Yeah. We often say that you should buy what your kids have
your family has.
The rest of your family. That way you have some support.
And also note that sometimes, and I don't know, I don't think this happens in a corporate Verizon store, but in many of the franchises of cell stores, they're given special pricing, just like like they try and sell you RV insurance and all this stuff. They're given special pricing to push a certain model, so the salesman may get a larger commission if he sells it. You want to be careful of that. But I think, Jim, that's the best advice right there. Get what your kids have. Because they can tell you how to use it. Or your grandkids.
Okay. Here's a question. While talking about traveling, you use Google Map picture sharing. Sometimes the pictures we take are not the best, and we could use shared pictures to get better results. What do you think, Chris?
I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about. Just that other people have taken pictures and they post them publicly, so if you search for pictures on a place, you could get somebody else's pictures. No reason why not.
Yeah, I use Instagram. Use Instagram and or Flickr, and either one of those, and you have good quality and lots of storage. So those are the ones I use.
Tons of stuff. Okay, well, thanks so much for joining us, Mike.
Well,
we hope to see you in Madison, Wisconsin, the end of July.
Well, I want people to go now back and find the interview I did with you guys. I think it was just before the first of the year on our podcast where we talked about you guys and some of the things you've done. So.
Was that episode 4 or 9? I don't know, something like that. And one of our commenters suggested that we do this regularly with you.
Yeah, you were the first ones I wanted to interview, and I said, okay, I got to get you guys. So that was it.
Well, that's so much fun.
Well, you're our go-to guy when it comes to iPhones and road treks, of course. We love we're going to be at the Road Trek Technology Rally in Florida in November, too.
You got it right. You go at the right time of years. I usually end up in Florida in January or July. Never the season. Then here I am in Arizona in the middle of the summer now.
Yeah, November is good.
Yeah. Well, we hope you enjoy the rest of your trip, and we're looking forward to seeing a lot more on your websites. And it's just been great talking with you today, Mike. And just have a great trip and make sure that you say thanks to Jennifer for us. So I have a slide up here. Did you learn something? How did you search for an app on your iPhone or tablet?
Just swipe down from the middle of the screen. It's called Spotlight Search, or use the Google search on an Android.
And Mike Wendland's website is the Mike Wendland's website all about traveling, and a road track is what?
Roadtracking.com, and a Facebook page too.
And Mike Wendland's technology website is what?
PCMike.com.
And where can you go to see both Mike and the Geeks on Tour present some seminars, or at least visit?
Well, hopefully in Madison at the FMCA.
I hope so.
Okay.
So, Chris,
well,
what's the webpage that lists all of our recent newsletters?
GeeksOnTour.com.
And the webpage that has all of our weekly shows?
GeeksOnTour.com. The menu is Weekly Show.
Okay.
Okay.
And what benefits do you get?
Now, I'm trying to skip over these this time.
Well, we do invite you to become a member of Geeks on Tour. Just go to geeksontour.com and click on the link to become a member.
And any closing thoughts, Mike?
Just what a pleasure it is to be with you guys. Your audience knows this, but you were really some of the first people that we met who just encouraged us to go along this lifestyle and to share the fun we have with technology and travel. And I just count you guys as very special friends. I hope we see each other more on the road.
Well, thanks. I'm sure we will. And we'll end up in Michigan sometime, too.
Hopefully I'm there.
Yeah, right. You probably won't be there, but...
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks again. And
Thanks
next week, we expect to be doing a show. Our beginner's lesson will be on Google Hangouts. Not Hangouts on air like we're doing the show with, but just Google Hangouts that anybody can use for text, phone calls, or video chats.
Let's see if this will work.
So,
all right.
see you next week on What Does This Button Do?
And
just keep pressing those buttons.
keep pressing those buttons, Chris. See you next week. And thanks again.